All right, listen. This is daily. This is daily number 550, part two, where we learn to be a better gamer. We're doing the Wing It daily, where the beta servers were down, so I did not have time at all to study these games before doing a daily. And you know, you know, I've just decided, screw it, man. We gotta have some fun, right? Let's just enjoy ourselves. Let me begin. I don't know if you heard that, but I immediately got terrified because I thought it was a bug. Let's just enjoy the process of making fun of Day 9 when he's not floundering is the word, flailing. There's some F word that's not vulgar that describes flippity floppity. I don't know what to call it, but for instance, had I had time to go through this daily, here's something that's happening. Failing, maybe failing is the word. Had I had time to go through this daily, I would have looked at the way the mothership cores would interact with the economy, and then I'd go back and I'd start measuring things, and then once I did some measuring and some calculating, then I can end up making statements like, aha, by doing this, he definitively restricts himself from building, I don't know, a robotics facility. So like, I would do the analysis and go, oh, you can either go mothership core and get you can either go mothership core and get this set of units out, or get a robotics facility and get this set of units out. But you can't do both, because either or statements are sort of the foundation of strategy. So if I see one thing, I know he can't be doing another. Let's talk about what actually happened. I'm watching this game, and I know for a fact as I'm watching it that I would have liked to have gone back and figured that out. So that way I can say something that's not stupid. So instead, if you watch part one, you'll hear me say things like, well, this is what he's doing, and isn't that interesting? And then I just stop because I'm like, I don't know why, and I wish I could go back and look. Let's keep going. This is so interesting. And I'm like, you're trying to figure out. And let me tell you something. Let me let you in on a secret. Here's a secret. Can I tell you a secret? We'll get back to the game in a second. We're going to watch StarCraft. I love StarCraft. I want to watch more. Here's a secret. Every caster in existence is well aware when they fuck up on air. And it hurts. But you just keep going. You just keep going. A lot of times you'll be like, oh yeah, Terran vs. Protoss, his best matchup. And you'll think, his Terran vs. Protoss is horrible. Why did I say that? But you can't be like, because I've already been like, oh yeah, Terran vs. Protoss is one of his strongest matchups. Marcus is like, oh Sean, the skill that we've been seeing in Terran vs. Protoss is really sort of coming to light. And he's already said all that stuff, and when he comes back to me, I can't be like, Marcus, I lied to you, man. I don't know, man. I don't know why I said that. It just wasn't true. I don't know. I got caught up in the moment. You can't do that. You can't. So you just move on. And then you get like 4 tweets being like, why did I say Terran vs. Protoss was good? It's not very good. I'm like, ah, I hate it. Because, I mean, in a tournament weekend, every caster is saying what? Like, I wonder how many sentences are spaketh. I challenge you. I challenge you to spend an hour just talking to yourself. Just talk out loud for an hour, and you'll start to know what that feels like. And then do 16 hours 3 days in a row when you have an MLG. Boom. That is that's the terrifying thing. Every caster, when they get off cast, and they're like, I remember BWC when like all the casters there was like Bitter and Rotterdam and my brother and Dan and Kalaris and Kaldor was there. I think Wolf was there too, who was like super sick, and my brother's rib was broken and everything. My brother cast with a busted rib at BWC. And like after every cast, I just come back and be like, oh dude, I fucked that part up like so bad, whatever. And we just, it's how it goes because we're jet lagged. Oh, it's so good. So returning to this game, let me just, whew. I want to note one more thing. Has nothing to do with the game. Just about being a caster, for me, is really similar to the sort of process of being a player, where at a lot of events, going to it is a lot like hopping on the ladder and saying, oh, I'm going to try this strategy today. I'm going to try to go mech. And then at tournaments, I'll say things like, okay, at this tournament, I want to try this specific casting technique. So, for instance, the one thing that I'm working on a lot right now, 2 things. One of them is variation in sound level. You'll definitely see this when I'm at the Collegiate Star League on the 16th. So, I'll be I'll talk at a normal volume, and then I'll get quiet at a moment of tension, and then I want to try to increase the volume during the attack. Not like yell and scream, but go down and then come up, because the huge difference causes it to be a lot more like, whoa, and that sort of thing. Another thing is I'm trying to, when I see good things, I speak about it positively. When I see bad things, speak about it negatively. And I don't mean like this sucks, this is terrible, and oh, he's beautiful, I love him. But like, this is an excellent defense, versus, I would say this is an excellent defense, as opposed to saying something like, you really need this defense to be able to stay alive. I said the same thing, but the first one was positive, the second one was negative. Or if an attack comes that kills the guy, I want to be able to go, ooh, or if a piece of defense isn't constructed well, I want to be able to go, I'm concerned that this doesn't look good. Because again, it's about that contrast. I want to be able to say that the thing that looks good in a positive sense, so it feels different from the thing in a negative sense. When I get tired, I tend to state everything in the negative. Not like negatively, like, this sucks and this is terrible, but I'll be like, yeah, you really need that defense. Yeah, this is really important, or you're going to lose to roaches. And oh man, he has to have that so he doesn't lose to mutalisks. And again, I'm saying, everything I'm saying is that the player is doing the right thing, but I'm stating it in the negative. So I'm trying to do that contrast. So there's all sorts of things. All sorts of communication techniques instead of like the actual content. So all that stuff. All that stuff. All that goody goodness. Just all the random ramblings. I figure I might let you in on a little bit of those things. But yeah. I'm of the opinion that if you're going for a Phoenix play, it is okay to be behind on the Nexus, and you will ordinarily be behind on the Nexus. Yeah. Almost always, because, you know, you're going to kill off probes, and it's not base count that represents your income, it's worker count. So, it's one of those subtle but important differences. So, yeah, at this point in time, this is the example of the success of this Phoenix play. Look at, oh, damn it, I said it totally wrong. Fuck. If I was doing a normal cast, I'd be like, this is the success of this Phoenix play. And then what I would do is I would talk about what's working, even though I didn't even mean to bring it up at all. And then I would refer to what I was originally doing. But instead I'm just going to say, and I'm going to go back. This is what I actually wanted to say. Alright, see, here we go, here we go. You're actually starting to see under the hood of me as a caster. So, this is what I intended to say. So these Phoenixes come in, and right here we see the success of that early pressure at the front. It's easy to look at early pressure like this and to say, oh my god, he might be able to win the game. Oh, and that's what makes it awesome, is that adrenaline surge. Oh, all this. But what all this was doing was, again, preventing tech. So therefore, when we get to this position, look at that. Twilight Council, just starting. Stalker count, very low, very low. And for every stalker that is constructed, that is more gas that hero doesn't want to be spending on units. He wants to be spending it on tech. That's what I meant to say. Another important thing about casting, if you start a sentence wrong, you don't go, that's not what I meant. You finish whatever sentence you start in a way that works. If I meant to say, Incontrol is doing well, and then I said, CJ Hero, I said the wrong player, but you just keep going. So you go CJ Hero, and then there's this pause where you're like, is in a position where he's a little bit behind on tech. And then you go back, and the Incontrol is playing very well. There's like tons of those happening. What you don't do also is you don't just finish it wrong. You don't just be like, well, I said CJ Hero, so I guess I'll be like, well, CJ Hero's playing really well. You don't just say whatever you're going to say for the other guy and fill it in. Oh, yeah. But yeah, we're certainly seeing the success of that early pressure. Also, we're seeing the utility of that range 5. I mean, sure, this Phoenix took damage, but all these Phoenixes were relatively unscathed. And as an ever-critical part of this sort of Phoenix play, The edge that you are getting over your opponent is largely a gas edge and a time edge. You're hoping, ideally, to kill off a couple of workers, but you're trying to force gas on stalkers. Oh, shit! I hit a wrong button! No, go back! Ah! There it is. There it is. There it is. Yeah, forcing him to spend gas on Blink. And as the Phoenixing Protoss, we're hoping to spend no gas on Stalkers. I mean, we have a little, but we're hoping to spend no more gas on Stalkers, no gas on Blink, and just gas on the Robo-Tech. Yes! Now, this is excellent. This maneuver to kill off this one. This is getting a little bit overeager, I think, to just lift up everything. It's one of those temptations that's like the funnest thing in the universe, when you've lifted up everything and suddenly you're not just a Protoss player, you're Magneto. Do you remember that scene where he's just like, and he like lifts up all the cars and all the officers are like, and oh yeah, I think that every time. I'm not even saying that as a joke that popped into my head in the moment. From the first time I set my eyes on the Phoenix and got 5 of them, I was just like, oh, just like raise them. Go look at that scene again. Oh, I love Magneto. I really wish he was able to stop Marvel Zombies, though. Now, this is a little known, little appreciated play for the Phoenix transition. This is not Heart of the Swarm specific anymore, but if we've been delaying our opponent's gas tech because we're forcing him to go Blink and we're forcing him to build more Stalkers, there's an important thing that we need to be keeping track of. Is he transitioning up to the Colossus, or is he just devoting hardcore to the Blink Stalker play? Everything that has been indicated, well, not just by our sickeningly high Phoenix count, but also by what we've seen. We see lots of Stalkers. We see this Twilight Council. So we're likely to be up against a lot of Stalkers. A double Robo play to build lots of Immortals is fantastic, is frickin' excellent. If our opponent, if we saw him trying to tease out a few Colossi, like starting Colossus production, we could go double Robo Colossus, and then out Colossus him. A lot of Phoenixing play all comes down to the robotics facility. Now, I have no idea what the goal of that was, other than to kill off the mothership core, which is a really low, what's the word? Oh, God, I'm so good at my job. A low priority target. Woo! They're very easy to rebuild. Priority, yes, the chat. Thank you, typing priority. A low priority target. I would say that the sentries are a little bit higher priority. Because again, we want to put him behind on gas. Because that is where our edge is. I don't know about you, but I'm one of those people that I literally never want to pull a probe off gas, like frickin' ever. I would rather die than pull a probe off gas. Literally. Literally. So we're seeing another very common transition out of Hero. This is the, again, commitment to the Twilight Council tech. Oftentimes you'll see players get 6, 7, 8 gateways, get the Blink, and then transition to Zealot Archon. And the counter for that with the Robo is to wall yourself off with buildings, and then go Colossus. So again, if he goes just Blink Stalker, as we're seeing, we build nothing but Immortals. If he's trying to just get a few Stalkers and go Colossus, we go double Robo Colossus. And if he's going for Zealot Archon swiftly, we wall ourselves in and go Colossus. All about the Robo tech, as being demonstrated by Windrammer. Alright. Coming on in. I'm speeding this up. Speeding it up. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. I'm going to speed it on up. We get to see the enactment of the explosiorationing, the damage-nationing. Always keep Phoenixes in a location where they can easily retreat. This location might seem easy, but if we pull back this way, he can intercept. We want to have them generally close to be able to slice back here and pull back. Yeah, killing off the mothership core, which, as you know, is low something, probably priority. And look at this relatively small army from Incontrol, but it has immortals against a largely stalker army. Now, I have a question. If we say something like rock counters scissors, then how do you say the reverse of that? Scissors is what to rock? Is scissors the county of rock? What is the language? I'm interested here in the language. I want to figure that out. Because immortals are very good at responding to it, countering, as they might say. And countered by, now I'm looking for like I'm looking for like the label, because you would say immortals are the counter, stalkers are the county. Someone in chat typed antithesis. And as we saw at the start of the game, all attacks are equal in Protoss with Protoss. Do whatever the hell you want, and no matter what, you'll always be at even supply. You'll always be barely on the edge of defending and barely on the edge of winning. That's fine. Probes, just as legit as a gateway unit. Esports. Excellent. I'm going to speed this up because after that engagement, it's very clear that Incontrol is vastly ahead. It has a much better composition, has all the better units, is even killing off them workers. But of course, nothing wrong with at any time Dark Shrine. I will note that this is, if our opponent is transitioning into Colossus here, he will have a low Colossus count, and this composition works nicely. You force field, which causes his Colossus to walk to the front, and the Immortals with their range 6 are easily able to get free shots off on the Colossus, and the range 5 Phoenixes easily able to do the remaining damage. And of course, at any time, Dark Shrine always lets us win in time. Pew, 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 pew. Pew, micro. Pew, 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 pew. Immortals counter buildings, Incontrol wins. Let's go on to the next game. I'm closing this. I hope it doesn't crash. And it... Can you still hear me? Can you still hear me? Do I sound okay? Is there a crackle? Is there a crackle? Alright. While I just make sure there's no crackle, note that I have these wonderful pen glow balls. You know, there's someone tuning in for the first time ever who's wondering, how does this guy have viewers? It broke. He's asking himself that. I have viewers because esports, guys. I'm now going to watch a game between himself and Bling. Here we go. Here we go! Let's hop on into a game where Windrammer is going up against the man whom I have a crush on, Dignitas Bling. Now, this is an interesting experience for me because I am a straight male. Of course, naturally, I am in full support of rights for all the wonderful folks of the LGBT community. However, as someone who has been straight his entire life, to see Dignitas Bling and think, oh my God, he's beautiful. This is a new feeling for me. And now, like, I can appreciate beauty. You know, like I look at Johnny Depp and I'm like, that's a beautiful man. But like when I see Bling, like when I first saw, I was intimidated to talk to him because he was so beautiful. And that's hard for me to like figure out how to deal with that situation, because I can easily go up to one of my buddies and be like, dude, that girl's like really cute. I'm like intimidated. I don't know. I say stupid things, but it's really hard. And it's like, dude, Blingy's like so beautiful. I like don't know how to. I don't know how to do it. I don't even, and like they can't relate to it. Like, why don't you just go tall? Why don't you talk about StarCraft? I'm like, I don't know. What if I'm wrong? I'll just prepare. I'll prepare like it's a daily, and then I'll go out to him and talk for an hour unbroken. And at the end, I'll run an advertisement, and I'll make a fraction of a penny. Esports. Esports. God, Day9's crush on Bling is so esports. So I wanted to note, the one thing I wanted to note before we go into the break is that I said in the first game, if you steal gas, your opponent is likely to respond with a high amount of gateways. So you build gateways for defense, and if he is not building a lot of gateways to attack, then you can attack him. That's the shittiest string of collection of words I've ever seen in my life. I'm going to say that again. If we steal our opponent's gas, one of two things will happen. He will play defensively and go for a robo, something like that, or an expansion. Or he will get aggressive and do a lot of stuff with gateways. Therefore, we, as Windrammer, we're going to build a lot of gateways. As we saw in Game 1, where CJ Hero built the robotics facility and played defensive, these gateways allowed us to attack. In this game, we're going to see that these gateways will allow us to defend. The clarity was maximum in attempt number 2. Second time's the charm. Or first time's the charm if you prepared in advance. Winging all the dailies. Day9 winged a daily. Day9 winged it up. I just like singing. Screw analysis, man. Like analysis and trying to like solve puzzles and solve problems is like my favorite thing. That's like why I love doing this daily. It's why I started doing this daily. However, I think it's wrong to be to lie to oneself. If I'm in the mood for a little bit of fun time, I think that is the appropriate thing to do then. Windrammer doing the defensive 3-gate. We have this opportunity to see a lot of gateways, to sense that there is some pressure coming up. Missing it a little bit. We might have a theory that we have seen a lot of stalkers and not a lot of anything else, that he is doing some sort of defensive play. Again, Stargate coming up makes perfect sense. We're going to try to be aggressive as Incontrol, to try to force him to delay his tech, which will strengthen our Stargate. Love it. Love it, love it. Can't get enough of it. And then all of a sudden, when Incontrol sees this, it's time to go into defensive mode. Abandoning this plan, unlikely to build a lot of stuff out of the Stargate for a whilst. Defense, defense, defense. I'm gonna go to a break. And when I'm back from that break, we're gonna finish this game. And you know what? We're not gonna take questions about the game. We're just gonna do a fun Q&A. Yeah. Yeah. And by the way, State of the Game should be starting right now. Head on over to twitch.tv/itmejp. Ooh. Yeah.